What's going on, Fanout Crew? Colby and Brian back after a long hiatus. We both picked horrible times to have home construction, and we're both still going through it. So, Brian, man, how's your early week going? It's only Tuesday. HSIOT, as I say. I'll let you figure out
Well,
what that means.
my work week's a little weird because it starts on Sunday, so this is like my
Yeah, yeah, that's
halfway
true.
point today. Um, but yeah, it's been a very busy week. Last week was really busy as well. Got a project thrown at me. Hey, Brian, take over this project that launched yesterday that we're not prepared for. What? So I've been scrambling for a week, and yeah, it's a little stress there. And then house stuff, as always, too. Unfortunately, but we're getting there.
Yeah, we're actually meeting with the project manager right now. Janine's in the room talking to him about finishing some stuff up. So hopefully we'll be done with this soon. I just want this whole thing to be over with.
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
if we hear yelling and screaming, then does that mean that G's winning?
yeah. She's never not winning. So, um, yeah. So Moon Knight. I well actually let me hear what you thought about the first episode. I know I probably know a little bit more about Moon Knight than you do. So tell me what
Um,
your thoughts were just overall first episode.
I enjoyed it a lot actually, and I think that's really good considering the trailer had me going in with very high expectations for what I wanted to see and what I thought I would see. I think it delivered. I think the only like real negative takeaway I had from it is we only get like what 5 to 10 seconds of him actually in the suit doing something. Um, Not to say that the other 99% of the episode was bad in any way. I loved it. I'm ready for more, which is a good thing. But I'm looking forward to. I think that when's the new episode come out tomorrow?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
it's got
Wednesday
me good.
apparently is Disney Plus Day. They originally it was Friday, which I really liked, because you get off
Mhm.
work. Most people are off for the weekend. Get home, watch some MCU shows, and they moved it to Wednesday for. I want to say they started that with Loki, and I thought it was weird, but it does kind of help get through the middle of the week. So
It
I'm
does.
okay with it now.
But yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed it. Emily enjoyed it. I know a little bit about Moon Knight's history, less than you probably, but my wife knew nothing about him, and she's hooked. Like she thought this concept of a character is really cool, and she's dying to see the next episode.
Yeah, I was talking with my sister earlier. I was like, "Hey, have you watched this yet?" And she said, "No, I don't know anything about it." And I was like, "Hey, don't worry, no one does. You're fine."
Yeah,
Because I mean, he's a real deep cut. I mean, he is. We've talked about it a little bit on some of our other streams, and at a very basic level, it's an oversimplification. But I mean, he is Marvel's answer to Batman, or it was originally. That was the reason why they created him. But he's had so many different iterations over the years, and I just gotta say, Oscar Isaac, man. I mean, good God, dude, this guy's such a good actor. You can just tell when he goes between his different, identities and stuff, and his English accent is actually really good. And by the way, who the hell is he calling? Like he calls his mom every day or night or whatever, and doesn't get in touch with her because she's
I
clearly
think
not real, right? Like what? Like
I
who is
think
he
he
calling?
thinks he's calling his mom.
You think he is calling his mom?
No, I think he thinks he is
I
calling
no,
his
I
mom.
know. Agreed. What I'm
I
saying is,
don't
who
think
is he
she's.
really calling? Like, it's
Yeah,
obviously
I
a real
don't think
number
she
because he keeps
exists.
leaving messages and stuff. Is this person like, dude, stop? Like you think they would have
I'm
blocked him by now?
waiting. I'm waiting for him to find another phone number or like another phone that
Yeah.
he owns that's going to voicemail or something.
Did you notice that there was one
Um,
other name in the list? There was like, okay, I wasn't sure if
yeah,
you picked up on that. Okay.
I did.
Um.
He
So
he just kind of rolled by it, but yeah.
they pause on it for like a second, and then goes on. So I thought that was interesting. Um. A lot of
I
people
do.
that I go ahead.
I was gonna say I want to talk about the accent because you mentioned that.
Yeah.
He actually. I want to word this carefully. I think his British accent is pretty good, but I think that it's a little obvious he's trying really hard to sound British because he's overusing a lot of British slang words to the
Yeah.
point where it's not quite natural. But
There's
I
a
say that
theory
as
that
someone that
there's a
like
theory going around that like his British accent inside the show is actually another like secret identity of his. Like in other words, like he's had to go undercover as that guy before, so his accent in the show is fake, but to the Steven persona, it's real. If that makes sense. So that's why it
right,
sounds manufactured because it is. It's
maybe.
clearly yeah. That'd be really like Inception, you know.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, like, I've got British family members I talk to pretty often. Like, my dad is from England, so I hear a lot of the buzzwords and stuff that he's saying that are really common over there, but he's using it more than what I hear people naturally speak it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, if he was doing a Canadian accent, he would just say like a, you know, and a boot the entire time, and it would be like a caricature of, you know,
Right,
right.
exactly. So it's just
Yeah,
it's a little too
yeah,
much with like bloody or blimey or
yeah, sure.
whatever.
I just think the quality of his acting is really good. Like you can tell that like I think Jonathan said it earlier today. He was like, I just feel sorry for this guy because like he's like when he was waiting, you know, at the steak restaurant for his date, you know, and he's just like
Yeah, that was so
steak
sad.
time. Yeah, maybe it was you. Like I couldn't remember, but it was just like yeah, it was kind of a really sad scene, and I just really like him as an actor. He's great in everything that he does. I think that he's probably the best choice they could have picked for this character. I really want to see more of Mark. I have a feeling in well, we'll get into some predictions later. But what did you think about the pacing? Because a lot of people said that the first episode was just way too slow, and when I was watching it, I had this weird like phenomenon happen because like it's slow in a way because they're not revealing much, but what Steven is going through, the way that the scenes just like that, they just jump. Like the scenes are fast, but the information we're getting is slow. So it's kind of like both together. It's this weird, you know, kind of hybrid. That was what I got
Yeah,
out of it.
I hadn't really thought about it. I didn't have a problem with the pacing, but reflecting back on it, I feel like this first episode is more or less like 90% of his quote unquote origin or
Yeah,
introduction. And it ended with the cliff note of this guy is actually, I guess I haven't
yeah,
confirmed he's a hero, but like this guy
right.
is some sort of super powered person.
So
And so I
yeah, I'm
looked at it as the pacing of an origin story, which does have a lot of slowness to it because you're building up that background that you need to get out of the way.
yeah, I'm glad you actually brought that up because like watching this, it occurred to me that this is actually the first MCU television show that has a true origin, right? Because we've had, you know,
Hmm.
WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, you know, like Falcon Winter Soldier, all of those characters we had seen before. We don't know anything about this character. So this is the first show that we are getting a true origin story. So that right there is one of the reasons why it is slow. But like, I didn't think that at all because like he goes to sleep and he wakes up and he's in like the Swiss Alps or something. And then, you know, like I really dug that. And I can tell they're sort of, well, it seems like they're combining a couple of his other personas into the Stephen Grant
Hmm.
version. He actually looks and acts more like the Jake Locke persona, because Stephen Grant in the comics is basically Bruce Wayne, right? High society, rich guy, you know. So it's interesting that they've chosen to go that route, which totally cool with. Um, what do you think about Ethan Hawke? His character. What do you? I'm still trying to figure out if he is Amit's avatar, because he mentioned something about her avatar like turning against her, and I don't know if that was like his way of like atoning. Because remember that first scene where he breaks the glass? Like, dude, that I was not prepared for that, and then just walks on it with his like slippers and stuff. That was nuts, right?
Yeah. Um, I think that he's well acted. I don't know much about what he should be like from the comics. I'm assuming he is a comic character.
So yes, but like if Moon Knight is a deep cut, then Arthur Harrow is like the deepest of like deep cuts. Like he's in like
Gotcha.
one or two episode like issues. So, and he's
So-
nothing like his. Just pretend like he's a new character.
Yeah. Well, I would say like going back to what you were saying about Moon Knight being a deep cut, he really truly is, because even like you have characters like gosh, I can't think of a good example. You have lesser known characters that are recognizable, like everyone knows, oh, that's so and so, but they don't know the background of so and so.
Right.
Like with Moon Knight, a lot of people don't even know like that's Moon Knight. Like they
Yeah.
don't they have no
like
clue.
I
who
would
he
say
is.
that Namor is fits that description. The one, you know, that you just
Yeah,
said. Like,
sure. Yeah.
Most people would know him, but they don't know like much about him. But like a lot of people haven't even heard of Moon Knight. Like they don't even know of him.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm trying to say. They don't even recognize that he is something that exists. So for people that are coming in that are new, I think that having this first episode and the way the pacing is set up is good, because you have to explain this to even people that are familiar with Marvel stuff that may not know anything about him. They need the background. But I would also say that if they came out and were doing a whole bunch of stuff as like with him as Moon Knight early on in this, I would not have been nearly as interested, because a lot of the buildup they established in this episode is he doesn't even know what's going on with him. And
right.
like
I'm
even
glad
at the end, he still doesn't really understand what's going on, but he's like, my mind is telling me to trust my mind?
Yeah.
Question mark.
I had a prediction before the show started, when we did our I think it was like our 2022 roadmap or whatever. I predicted that I was pretty sure that he had been Moon Knight for a while, and then he was already Moon Knight when the show started. And I'm glad they went that route, because I don't want a true like origin where like it takes 2 episodes for him to even like get like the Khonshu, you know, spirit. And speaking of which, dude, their like realization of Khonshu is terrifying, dude. He looks perfect. Like I'm super happy with everything I've seen so far as effects go. The way the like, you know, armor and suit kind of like manifests itself from inside him was just a really cool effect.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've really enjoyed that I wasn't expecting to enjoy was, you know, my wife and I just rewatched Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor, and we're about to watch Midnight Mass again.
Pass.
But like,
I can't watch scary stuff, man. Like I can't do it, dude.
Well, like one of the most fun things about that show, and they do it in Moon Knight, is you will have a completely normal scene where something is happening, and there's little subtle weird stuff in the background.
Yeah, the mirror thing and the glass and the
it's little stuff that like you're not necessarily like, you don't have to notice it to enjoy the episode, but there's a lot of stuff there. Like, and I was having a lot of fun. Like after I watched it, I was going back and trying to pause and just kind of look at like, oh, the reflection is doing something different than what he's doing.
I did it too.
Or what shadow is that? Like, who is
there's
that
one
there?
There's one part that's like, it's just pretty chilling. Like when Arthur's like on the PA system and he's like, hey, you know, just surrender the scarab and like you'll live or whatever. And you see this thing, like you know, you see the shadow of this thing and it looks like a jackal or a werewolf or something. And then it turns the corner, but the camera cuts away before you can really see it. But Steven then like moves behind a like glass case and you can see the thing's reflection in the glass, and it's chasing him, and it's just like you don't expect to see it because the camera cuts away from it, and then all of a sudden you're seeing it in the reflection, and it's like whoa, and it's that yeah, dude, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. It brings me back to like really weird comparison, I guess, but I always enjoyed Where's Waldo books and like trying to spot stuff that's like
totally.
in the background.
I hear you. Yeah.
And so I'm having fun doing that in this show because not only is there some story elements going on, like in the dialogue and the acting, but there's also weird little psychological stuff like that going on in the background. So
Yeah.
I hope that's something we
Well,
continue to see
just
more
like
of.
the scene, the elevator scene. You know, it keeps going dark, and like he's trying to get down to the ground floor, and then the elevator goes back up to 5, and he's like, "Are we on the 5th floor again?" And the lady is like, "Oh yeah, my friend Claire lives here," and she's knocking on any door she can, the first door, because she's not going to Claire's house. You know, like she's trying to get away from this crazy person. You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, I thought that was cool. I really dug the way that Khonshu was kind of like stalking him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of which, Khonshu was voiced by venerable actor F. Murray Abraham, and I totally called that too. I said it as a joke. Like I heard him speak a couple of times, and I was talking to G. I'm like, is that F. Murray Abraham? Just jokingly, I went to IMDb. It's him. Yeah, I don't know if you know the name, but you'll if you see his face, you'll recognize him. He's in a lot of stuff. What do you think about that? F. Murray Abraham. Yeah. What did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, yeah. What did you think about the whole like internal voice thing in his head?
Amadeus.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff.
He's been in some good stuff. I didn't dislike it. I thought it was fine. I didn't give it too much thought.
A lot of people were just really confused about what was going on, but see, that's the whole, like, that's the point. Like, you're not supposed to know any of this stuff. Like, a lot of, like, some people were like, oh, you don't, like, they didn't tell us anything. It was all questions. It's like, I guarantee you in episode 2, they're going to answer, like, they're going to go back and show how this happened, you know?
I will say, like, you know, like I said, Emily didn't know anything about the character, and when we were watching it, she made the comment of, didn't we already sort of get this with Venom, where there's just someone shouting stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Like into the brain. I was like, yeah, kind of, I guess, but I think Moon Knight's older than Venom, and like, sure, it's just Venom happened to have a movie before Moon Knight was ever on TV, but I think that's something that the show will have issues combating as things go along, because she started to draw that parallel and then immediately started to think of him as a parasite, and I was like, no, not a parasite. So.
Yeah, so how much do you know? I mean, like, how much do you know about the spirit that's within him and stuff?
I know a decent amount. I did some reading on it when the trailer came out. Are we open game to talk about that here without spoiling anything for anybody?
I don't, like, here's the thing, like, we can talk about what happens in the comics, but obviously we don't know what's going to happen in the show, so it may not be a spoiler, you know?
So
yeah.
Potential spoilers, we'll say here. So if you don't want to hear about any of this, mute us for a minute and check back. But my understanding is he goes on archaeology thing somewhere, and he ends up saving a girl and dies in the process, and they bring him to some sort of temple or something, and he gets resurrected, and Khonshu is like the moon god or something, if I remember right, but he sort of becomes the avatar of Khonshu, and then he's got all kinds of powers that are stronger during different phases of the moon, and
yeah, his powers like wax and wane.
Yeah.
Sorry, just a little moon pun for you.
Yeah. So I know that extent of it. I know that power set wise, it's at least at one point in the comics, he was a little overpowered, and then they came up with some sort of plot device for Khonshu to take away some of his abilities. But my understanding is Khonshu has the ability to grant, to basically give or take power away from him as well.
Yeah. I apologize to who's watching. My stream health is not great right now. I guess I'm having some internet trouble. Brian, I can see and hear you fine, but
yeah, I saw it buffer for a second.
Yeah, YouTube's reporting some issues on the stream. I can't really do anything about it. Anyway, so yeah, I think episode 2, I think they're going to basically go back and show how this all happened, how he got it, you know, just what some of his powers are, because we've seen footage of him inside a pyramid or a temple or something, and then it looks like he's getting imbued with these powers. And we've also seen footage of him like fighting people outside this museum at night. So I think they're gonna kind of go back and forth. Have you seen how his cape kind of is like a physical impossibility? Meaning, like when he jumps, his cape like magically just shapes itself like the crescent moon, which is actually really cool. Like that's one of his like. Yeah. There's a lot of comic covers with him like that jumping, and his cape is shaped like that. Yeah, I imagine you're gonna see that a lot in this series.
Yeah, and it's weird. This is kind of backwards for me. A lot of times when I get a new show or movie, like I always want them to do a whole lot of lore building and give me a lot of that background. But with Moon Knight, I'm interested to get some of that, but I don't want them to spend a whole lot of time on, back when, I don't want them to spend 3 episodes telling us how he became Moon Knight. Like, give us a couple little flashback sequences as we go along, but I don't need to go see all of the stuff at the temple and him saving someone and dying and being resurrected. Like, I don't want 2 hours of that. I want them to cut that down and condense it and tell us the present.
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, I think they'll just show a little bit of it, and like, because we're gonna have to see it. They're not gonna not show it. Plus, Khonshu isn't like. It's not that he's not who he says he is. It's that like, there's other forces at work that go along into this too. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can figure out what's going on here.
Well, I'll say this while you're tinkering. I've started to find and it's going to be hard to think of examples, but there's some shows where they will try to backfill in to explain the past, or the origins for something, and then it starts to dilute the present story that they're also trying to tell.
Yeah.
And some shows do a really bad job of focusing on or choosing which storyline it is they're going to focus on and expand on, and you start to lose detail in the present story because they're focusing too much on the past. And having a healthy balance there, I think, will be important.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be like Book of Boba Fett syndrome where they keep bouncing back and forth, right?
Yeah.
I think they're going to show him as a mercenary in the next episode, and then they're going to show him get these powers, and that's probably going to be the end of it, and then we'll move forward. Do you think we're going to see any references or any other, like, maybe callbacks or just direct, references to any of the other, like, the greater MCU at large?
I think so. And I say that because I saw some rumblings. I didn't read it to avoid spoilers, but I didn't read all of it, I should say. I saw some rumblings that confirmed that this takes place after the Hawkeye show. So
that's my understanding as well.
Yeah, so I think that if that is worth noting, that there's a reason they've noted it, because it's got to tie into the greater universe one way or another. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to establish when this takes place if it didn't tie in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also came out and said, hey, Spider-Man No Way Home takes place at the same time as Hawkeye. And we thought that was going to be some kind of like thing, but it really wasn't, other than like the Rogers musical. Like that was it. So we don't need, like, in my opinion, the MCU is so big now that we like, not everything has to be like an Avengers level like team up, right? Like it's fine to have individual stuff, like you can still have your Ant-Mans, in this type of, even post Infinity War and Endgame. I think there's still a place for this kind of stuff. I think that, oh man, I'm on the fence. I think
he's gonna tie in and fit in with like Black Knight and Blade. Like,
yeah.
I think
the Midnight Suns. Yeah, because I mean, because that is something that does happen in the comics. They form a team called the Midnight Suns, if we see, in my opinion, if we see any of that, like any, not Midnight Sun specifically, but just any kind of reference to Blade or Black Knight or anything like that, I think that's going to be in a post-credit scene. Jonathan predicted that like we're gonna get that. Like he's, as far as I understand, he's confident we're gonna get that. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think we need it, but I'm also not gonna be like, oh, this crap again. Like get, the MCU, as far as I can tell, or in my opinion, really, like, even when they have misses, like, they're still good. Like, I didn't love Eternals, but I mean, it's still good. I didn't love Captain Marvel, but I mean, it made $1 billion, so, I mean,
Yeah.
what do you want?
I think that, I don't know if I'm hopeful or if this is just a prediction, but I think that Blade is sort of going to be the glue that pulls together some of these more obscure characters. Given that he was the one that, reached out to Black Knight at the end of the other movie. And so I think he's going to almost be our Nick Fury for some of these
I can see
lesser
that. Yeah.
heroes. I don't know if lesser heroes is the right way to phrase that, but
No, I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
Heroes.
Yeah, I mean, the Midnight Suns is not X-Men, as far as how popular they are.
They're also they're not the Avengers either, and
that's what I mean. Yeah,
they're somewhere between like what I consider to be street level heroes and the Avengers. Like they're weird, like more of a psychological or supernatural. Yeah, they're like the supernatural street level heroes.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, even if they don't do that, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that that's what they're doing. Given spoiler alert, I guess. For those who haven't seen Eternals, I mean, we don't see Blade, but we hear him show up at the end of the after credit scene, talking to Dane Whitman, who becomes, it's not really a spoiler. I mean, Dane Whitman becomes the Black Knight, who does become an Avenger at some point. They may not go that route, but we'll see. I think that it's just great that we live in a time where, like, we even get a Moon Knight show that appears to be really high quality so far. I am interested to figure out, like, did his goldfish die because, like, he was gone for so long and he just didn't feed it? That's
what I think.
I think that's what they were going for. Like, originally I thought that maybe, like, something just happened, like there was some kind of accident or something. Like maybe he got in a fight in the apartment, but I was like, there would be other damage and stuff. And I guess he didn't feed it, so he had to replace it. And there was no other Nemos there, which was interesting. It was kind of, I thought that was a cool little thing. Like there's more going on here than Steven realizes, obviously, but he's starting to realize it too.
What's interesting is clearly his other identities do not want this identity to know that they exist. Like, the little detail.
Well, they don't want him to be in control at all. Like they'd rather him not be around, because like Khonshu's like, oh great, the idiot's back,
Right, but the interesting tidbit to that is if they didn't care, then why would they replace the goldfish? Like they replaced the goldfish because they don't want him to even recognize that they were in control.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it's
because otherwise, like, just let the fish be dead and he'd wake up and be like, oh shit, why is my fish dead?
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out like who he's calling. I mean, like is his mom someone that he invented? Like, or is this a real person? Like, is he calling Mark's mom and she's just ignoring him because she knows that it's Steven? Like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's the implications of that are pretty crazy. It's kind of like in Aladdin when the genie just the genie just manifested this entourage for Prince Ali and sings this song. Like, where do these people come from and where do they go? you know what I mean? Like, this is crazy.
But also, like, he called the number on the cell phone that he found, and as soon as she realized that she was not talking to the personality that she thought she was, she hung up.
Right. So I think that's probably happened before, like she's probably been taught, like, hey, if it's not me, like, hang up. So but I mean, she also didn't she ask him, like, what's with your accent? So maybe not. I don't know. We don't know who this chick is. I don't remember Alayla from source material, so I don't know.
I don't know. Do not know. All I know is I want tomorrow's episode.
Yeah, I'm kind of mad because my stream health is just horrible right now. I don't know how well it looks on the actual on stream or anything, but
Your contractors ruined it.
probably. So anyway, if you guys are watching, sorry for the horrible quality here. So what do you think about just the future of the actual series? What do you think we're going to see moving forward?
I think that episode 2, just given that he did not have a lot of screen time as Moon Knight, I think that this next episode will have a lot more time as him doing like physical stuff versus focusing on the psychological. We may end up getting our flashback scene or story time where him in the mirror is explaining to him.
That's probably what's going to happen.
Is
he's going to they're going to realize they're going to have to work together. I think like Steven and Mark, and Mark is going to have to explain to Steven, look, you need to let me have control because like you saw what happened. Like I was able to help us out. Let me explain to you what's going on. Boom, flashback.
Yeah. But I also think that the idiot is the true personality.
See, I don't. That's interesting. Let's talk about that.
So, just thinking through the comic origin of him being an archaeologist and doing stuff, clearly this version of him, the idiot, we'll call him, that works at the museum.
His name is Steven. Come on, man.
I honestly, I keep getting the names mixed up. Steven, the Steven personality that works at the museum, clearly is obsessed with ancient Egyptian culture to the point where he has an archaeologist level of insight as into that history and stuff. So I think that
he was talking about the different gods, like one of them was missing and stuff from the sign.
That's not stuff that a normal person would notice.
Sure.
And so I don't know. I think that he may have some gaps in his memory or something, but I think that's like maybe his personality got fractured or something when he died and was resurrected, assuming they do that in the show. But I think this is the science Egyptian geek portion of his personality, at least.
Yeah. And that's interesting because I will say this, in the comics, Mark is 100% Mark Spector is the main, iteration, right? It would be interesting if they change that to make Steven the main one, and Mark is kind of like the one he has to like flip the switch to activate. That could be interesting because it's like, how did he get all that training in the first place, right? Like, or is it where it's literally like just two? I don't think so. So there's another, I guess, again, this may not be a spoiler, or maybe, but it just depends on what route they go. He has another persona in the comics called Mr. Knight, and it's basically like a combination of Moon Knight and Stephen Grant, meaning like he wears Moon Knight's mask, but he wears like Stephen Grant's like tuxedos, but it's like an all white tuxedo, and he has gloves and stuff, and he's kind of like the middle ground between Moon Knight and just human. So it's kind of like Professor Hulk, right?
Yeah.
So I think
doesn't he also pull from some of his ex avatars as well sometimes?
So there's different iterations of the story, and it kind of depends on which ones you're talking about here, but the long and short of it is he has dissociative identity disorder because of all of the other iterations that Khonshu has like sort of inhabited over time, right? They all kind of blend together, kind of like in Eternals when Athena was going crazy because she was remembering the previous missions they'd been on and stuff, and everything was mixing in. That's kind of what this is. And in comic book form, it works really well because he will literally change personas between panels, and you don't know who he is, and he doesn't know who he is at that point, and it's like he's insane. He's insane.
Yeah.
Moon Knight is nuts because of all the stuff that's going on in his head, and it's not his fault. It just Khonshu has like sort of like poisoned him, kind of, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how far they will go with that.
But yeah, I don't really have a lot of predictions other than that. Like, I want to see more. I think that first episode was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree.
Special effects were good. There was enough humor there. There was enough action there. There's healthy story. Nothing to complain about.
People
Which feels nice because I feel like we've been shitting on almost everything we've watched lately. So it's really refreshing to have some good quality content out of Disney's space.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the stream issues. If you guys can even hear this, it's weird because I'm not having like Discord's fine. I'm not having any. Are you not having any issues hearing me or anything?
No,
that's weird.
Thursday.
Maybe it's
I just see YouTube every once in a while goes to buffering.
Maybe it's just a YouTube problem because I'm not having any actual internet problems, so I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. Well, I don't want to keep doing it because we're just it keeps messing up. So we'll go ahead and end it. We've been going for 40 minutes here. So I really enjoyed the first episode. I think that this has the potential to be a really, really good MCU story. And I do hope that it's not just a one-off. Like, I hope we do get some more, exposure to Moon Knight to see what he can do with other MCU characters. If we don't, that's fine. As long as they do this story justice, which it seems like they're going to, I think that, I do think that we're going to get a battle between Khonshu and Amit, I guess is her name. I'm interested to see what they do with that. Maybe they'll fight through Mark and Arthur, so we'll see. I'm intrigued to see where they go. And yeah. Anything else, Brian?
Morbius sucks.
I haven't seen it. I'm not going to say I told you so, but I informed you thusly. Okay, I'll say that because that trailer looked like absolute dog shit, and you guys were like, "Oh, this is gonna be so good," and I'm like, "What trailer did you just watch? Because this looks like absolute crap." So sorry that it sucked. I wanted it to be good, but what are you gonna do? Sony's so hit or miss, man. It's really weird. Like, they'll make Spider-Verse, and then they'll make Venom: Let There Be Carnage, and I'm just like, how can you go so good to so bad? So there's no middle ground with them, right? Like DC,
The best way I could describe the pacing of that movie is the first Hulk movie.
Yeah. I can see that.
We'll rant about it another day after you've taken the time to suffer.
Yeah. All right, guys. Look out for some more videos soon. Brian and I are working on some pinball content. We have a couple videos up with some mods we've done. And Brian did a tutorial on how to update some software, which is kind of cool. I'm working on replacing some stuff for my machine, just doing some upgrades, stuff like that. So look out for that. Sorry about the stream issues tonight. Hopefully we'll get those worked out for the next one. Give us a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Hopefully we can get some good conversation going about Moon Knight. As always, fan out. See you guys.
Fan out.